Welcome to the Soundtrack Exchange, where my co-host Christelle and I exchange songs from movies, video games and television soundtracks, and then chat about them. How about that?
Each episode, Cameron and I will give each other a song to listen to and talk about the details, the history, and the reasons why we think our chosen tracks are so awesome. So buckle up and let's get exchanging.
Christelle, how are things?
Cam, things are well. Things are good. Wait,
I like your shirt.
I am well. Things are good.
I'm both. I like your shirt.
Thank you.
For those listening, it's brown. It's very autumnal.
It is. You know, fall is here. It has arrived.
Fall has fallen.
The leaves are changing.
And it's the same thing every year.
You know, sometimes
you can rely on it.
Where
you know?
I will. Well, yes, the changing of the seasons. Kind of. I would say most of the time, you know, I live in Colorado, USA,
Whoop.
Colorado. Yep. Most of the time, by now, it's October 24th, the time of this recording.
Yeah, not live.
This is not live, no.
Wherever you are, this isn't live, FYI.
Yeah, it has already snowed by now. So usually fall lasts like 2 weeks in Colorado because summer will last a long time and then we'll have fall for like 2 weeks and then it'll get really cold. And so then everything will die. But this year it really has the warmer weather has hung on to where the leaves are still so gorgeous. I'm looking out the window and there's like a bright yellow tree right outside my door. There's one tree that's still mostly green. It's insane.
Yeah. And blue skies?
Blue skies and sunshine.
Oh,
guaranteed.
wow.
Blue skies and sunshine.
That's awesome.
That's Princess and the Frog for anyone who doesn't know. Cameron.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You're not a Disney guy, are you?
Not hugely, no.
You're not a children's movie person as an adult? That's so crazy.
No. Well, Harry Potter, if that counts.
Yeah, but that was something that you watched as a child that holds sentimental value for you, that follows you into adulthood. I think there's a difference, though, between watching Disney movies that come out now and being a fan.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. I do it.
No, nothing wrong with it at all.
Some would say I'm a Disney adult.
Yeah. Well, you do go to Disney
but in a
places.
Cool way. You know, that's always my response is yeah, I'm a Disney adult, but a cool one. You know?
Yeah. You're not like the weirdos that run around screaming and do they exist?
Well, you've never seen me at a Disney park. Just kidding. You can't run at Disney.
I want to now.
Running is very frowned upon.
Is it? Do they give out to you?
Yeah.
Doth Goofy scald you if you runneth?
Yeah, because it's dangerous. It's like running at a pool. You could slip, fall, and die, and then they would be liable because it happened on their property.
Yeah.
And it's your fault for doing it, you know?
Yeah, so it wouldn't be a good place to go and have a load of beers and dance.
Disagree.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Epcot? Are you kidding me? Drinking around the world? It's so fun.
Okay. That's cool.
There's 11, 12 countries. You get a drink at each country.
That's awesome. Are they local to the culture of said country?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very cool. Is there an Irish one?
No. You're going to hate this.
Oh, no.
No, but there is
a UK one.
Yes. Yeah. They do. So they do festivals around the year too. And so they do a food and wine festival, which
Lovely.
Then they add a bunch of different country stalls. So different booths that represent other countries. And I'm fairly certain they do an Irish one.
Good.
But you can get Guinness at the Rose and Crown pub.
Well, that's the main thing.
At Epcot.
That's what I was driving at.
Who needs to travel around the world when you have Epcot? We're getting off on a tangent and none of this has to do with our episode
Ladies
today.
and gentlemen, who needs to travel the world when one has Epcot in their lives? Today's theme.
You can literally travel the world in one day. It's amazing. What's today's theme, Cameron? Tell us.
Well, you know how eager we have been to do a Hans Zimmer episode. But we don't want to be too obvious and on the nose, so we have decided to do Hans Zimmer without Christopher Nolan movies. I'm going to say that in a better way. We're going to do Hans Zimmer movies, except you can't choose a Christopher Nolan one.
Yeah, that was our one rule that we established the previous episode, was that you can't choose a Christopher Nolan film.
Because it's just too easy.
Yeah, also, we're probably going to do a specific Christopher Nolan film
I think so.
So we want to save it for that. But, it is, it's not shocking to me. It might have been to you, as you are a massive Christopher Nolan fan, that Hans Zimmer has actually... Hans Zimmer has actually done quite a few film scores that
since before Christopher Nolan was born.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Really?
No,
I don't know
that.
how old Christopher Nolan is.
I think they're both old.
Older.
Yeah, sorry. Older than us.
They're both ancient. God. Anyway, so yeah, we both exchanged and assigned songs by Hans Zimmer, but not Christopher Nolan.
I kind of cheated though. My track from the movie, Christopher Nolan produced that movie.
I feel like that's different because I don't even know what a producer does.
No one does. I can give you a good comparison if you like. That'll allow you to, because it's kind of allowed me to wrap my head around it.
Sure.
So a director would be a CEO.
Okay.
Like director of photography, like the main cameraman or the leaders of all the cameramen would be the CTO, like the technical chief officer.
Yeah.
And then your producer would be the CFO.
COO,
yeah. But they also get money too.
I mean,
but they help with casting. They just get shit done.
Kind of like oversight. Okay. Oversight.
Yeah, they're just smooth operators, whereas the director just focuses on the movie and directing the actors. But there's always a lot of overlap and blend. Nothing's set in stone. But
yes.
I hope that helps you and our audience.
Thank you.
Even though I got it wrong. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't know if you got it wrong or not.
Yeah.
I trust you in the words that you tell me implicitly. And it's
good.
Only because of your Irish accent.
That's true. Yeah, we're very wise.
There's an air of authority about you.
And sadness. Great storytellers.
Yeah, but I mean, same, you know?
Yeah.
The air of sadness, not the storyteller part.
Yeah,
I'm a terrible storyteller. I'm very long-winded. Anyway, speaking of long-winded, let's talk about Hans.
Yeah, will I go first?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go first with you.
Okay, I'll go first with me. So the track I gave you is called "I Will Find Him" by Hans Zimmer.
Yes,
it's from the Man of Steel soundtrack, which was a 2013 movie directed by Zack Snyder. It was less than a year after Christopher Nolan's, I know we're not talking about, but his Dark Knight Rises movie. So it was the first kind of DC movie after the whole crazy Batman trilogy, the
Christian Bale Batman.
The Christian Bale Batman trilogy popularity, and Hans Zimmer obviously did those tunes as well. This was prime time for Hans.
Yeah.
Between Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, you had Inception, which created this whole Brahms sound that Hans became famous or synonymous with. Everyone was doing it though. If you saw a trailer in the 2010s, you were hearing this for every trailer, for every big action CGI trailer. Yeah. Before I go any further, what did you think of it?
I'm so curious why you chose this particular track.
Because this movie has grown on me hugely, as has the soundtrack over the years. I think when it first came out, people were a little bit hungover after the Dark Knight trilogy. They were expecting something along the same lines, but Dark Knight trilogy didn't have aliens. Man of Steel brought back the whole aliens with the superhero thing. Which
because Superman is an alien
himself. Yeah. Well, that's part of the conflict as well. Is he? Because, is he an Earthling? Is he, he bought, that's part of his inner conflict. That's part of his
whole thing.
Yeah. Get over it, Clark. But yeah, I chose this one because Michael Shannon is the villain.
Yes.
In Hands of Steel. Man of Steel. And I think it's a wonderful performance. I think the movie's great. I think Henry Cavill can't act for his dinner, unfortunately, but he is very beautiful and big, and fair play to him.
Listen.
But Mr. Shannon, I thought was an excellent villain, and this is kind of his theme, and it plays under the scene where he's being encapsulated in this weird icy goo and sent off to, I don't know what, 300 cycles of something, but it's basically forever and ever, and he's put into these weird, slightly phallic pods and sent off. Yeah, very weird choice.
You know,
Zach,
men
we know
made
what
it,
you're doing.
so
we know what you're doing there.
Kind of,
lots of people
out.
approved. Yeah. But I just love that piece of music because obviously it's very indicative of Hans Zimmer, as all of his music is. But I just love that scene with him, Michael Shannon, General Zod is his name as the villain. It's one of my favourite lines, the title of the song, I will find him. It's very harrowing and dark and violent, and I love it.
Yeah, I think this movie in particular was really interesting because, there have been several iterations of Superman over the years.
Yes.
The last one was Brandon Routh, which I actually thought was very good.
This is Superman Returns.
Christopher Reeves. Yes.
Yeah,
Superman
the
Returns
goat.
and Christopher Reeves. And so I think Man of Steel was really interesting because I think also Smallville. Sorry, I can't leave Smallville out. It's always interesting when there's, I think specifically with comic book characters, but I think just like really well-known characters in general, when you have several iterations, what directors and the people making these films try to do to set themselves apart. And I think this one was really interesting because you saw more of his backstory, his like pre-landing in Kansas backstory, which is not something that I think anyone has really dived into before. If I'm wrong, let me know.
I think Superman 2, the Reeves one, shows that kind of General Zod being put up into the... I think back then they were like put into mirrors, and the mirrors like rotated into space. It was slightly worse CGI. But no, you're right. I think the whole Jor-El, Kal-El family thing wasn't really given to us.
Yeah, one thing that I thought was really interesting about this particular soundtrack, when I was doing my research for mine, I also was like, I'll just like take a peek at what they said about Man of Steel. It actually was really controversial and polarizing. I think like part of the critics were like, oh, it's amazing. It's gritty. It's darker. It's like classic Hans Zimmer with the drums and the technology and all of that. While on the other side, like that can be viewed as like a negative of like the Inception, the like what you said, the, yeah, you do it better.
Thank you.
But people found it like simple and repetitive, and it just like sounded the same as like everything else. So that's really interesting. Right now, because James Gunn's like whole new DC isn't out yet. But this Henry Cavill's Superman, and then also like bringing in like Batman v Superman with Ben Affleck and all of that was really interesting. All of my comic book knowledge comes from Josh, my
shout out to Josh.
Yeah. And he didn't love this specific like portrayal of Superman, because Superman in the comic books, he's the like golden boy. Like he grows up in the heartland of America on a farm, and then he goes to be a reporter. He's very Captain America-esque. And so when you think of Superman, you think bright, shiny. And you hear that when in like John Williams, he wrote the original Superman March, and you hear that in that it's like, again, like bright American, like stand up. Whereas Hans Zimmer intentionally chose not to use that march and not to use that theme because he wanted it to be different. But I think it kind of lended itself to Zack Snyder's vision of like a different kind of darker, grittier. I feel like when you think of comic book characters, especially with DC, and you think dark, gritty, you think Batman, and they very much gave him that like kind of storyline.
Proper on the coattails of Dark Knight trilogy, they really brought that in. They brought that over, carried that over.
And that's just kind of like a weird thing, because he's not a sad, lost, hopeless, conflicted guy. Yeah. So it just was really interesting. And I have kind of carried that feeling of Josh's the negative feelings of this. And then when I was looking through and I saw the like critic reviews and then the interview with Hans saying that he like specifically chose not to use the march, I was like, oh, that totally makes sense. Like I thought it was just like Zack Snyder and the way that he filmed, and it just was kind of darker visually, but the music totally lends itself to that as well.
Yeah,
with
I agree.
That, like choosing not to have the like bright trumpets. I keep wanting to like hum the Superman march.
Please
but
do.
The only thing that comes out is Indiana Jones.
That's why I want you to do it, because I keep going, the Superman theme.
It's like all I think of. Which it's probably very similar, also because it's John Williams. But
oh God, no! We need to just double check what it is, because this is awful. We're gonna kick ourselves.
Yeah, Josh is gonna be so disappointed in me that I don't know this. But anyway, so I think this was one of the more.
I know what it is.
Okay, hum it, sing it. Yes. Yeah. That was great.
I couldn't think of it.
No, I couldn't either. All I could think of was Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But it's the trumpets and the horns, and it just is like very like the melody is going up even when it's going down. You know.
Yeah.
That kind of sounds insane, but you get what I'm.
I know
exactly
what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the clouds are parting and the sunshine is shining, and you just see Superman flying with his arm up and his cape behind him and all of that.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that the Man of Steel was very brooding, and I think
he's not a broody guy though, and I think that's what bugs me.
I know
about
I think we're in the age
adaptation.
of humanization of superheroes and normalizing
which
them.
is interesting.
Yeah, I dig it, and I've only loved Man of Steel more and more, and I think Hans Zimmer's Superman theme is called Flight, and it's way more kind of not grueling, but like it's like a plodding along song, and it's playing over
which
the
is much
scene
more
where,
realistic.
Yeah, and Superman's like trying to fly, and he's like he floats back down again, and then he does the whole thing, and he puts his fist on the floor, and there's like orbit of stones around it, gravitational, and then bam, he's off. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I mean that's like an interesting. Granted, this is not a comic book podcast, but I think that's an interesting conversation to have around the humanization. I'm just making up words. I don't know if these words are real or not.
I said it earlier. It's totally a word now.
Of comic book characters, because he's not human. No. And so it's interesting to kind of portray him that way. And the same, we kind of talked about this a little bit when we talked about Joker. Like, he's like full on nuts, and not in like a human way. Like, he is a bad guy. Yeah. But choosing to kind of portray him in a more like realistic kind of mental illness space is, I don't know how I feel about it yet. Granted, I will also say I have not seen Joker, and it has been a hot minute since I've seen Man of Steel. But
I have it on Blu-ray.
Of course you do.
Just putting that out there. Yeah. And I will say a last point on this as well, that there is an unreleased track from the soundtrack called General Zod, which is a much more extended version of the Zod theme, which is the I Will Find Him track. It's for General Zod.
See, I wish that we were having these conversations before listening to it, because I love a bad guy. Like,
Michael Shannon's awesome.
I find villains so much more compelling than heroes. Because typically like heroes are not like portrayed in like a human way, and villains just have so many more dimensions to it. And so I think I would have appreciated this track more had I known that he's a villain.
Yeah.
Like this is the like kind of this is.
But
like
this is why we're doing this show is to educate each other. And
I love it. Now I want to go listen back to it.
Give each other wisdoms. And I will say General Zod is a great character because he's the bad guy, but he's just ruthless, but he's not actually. He believes that. Like, that's why we loved Thanos, because Thanos
it's the ruthlessness that comes out of his like deep
duty.
Love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he thought he was doing the right thing. And he's like, I think there's a line where he's like, Superman totally didn't enjoy killing your dad, but I absolutely did it again.
Is that exactly what he said?
That's verbatim, yeah.
Yeah. You do a great Michael Shannon impression.
Yeah, he kind of adopts this Irish accent in this scene. It was very creative.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, tell me about your song.
Cameron, I'm so excited to talk to you about this song. Okay, I'll talk about my song, and then I think we should talk about Hans Zimmer himself.
To the death.
We need to talk about his life, his work,
the
his
Ziminator,
awards, all of that. This Ziminator. So you had mentioned when we were talking on last episode about which track to do, you wanted a really powerful song, and the first one that came to mind for me that wasn't like Interstellar or like Dune or something Christopher Nolan. Dune's not Christopher Nolan, but is one of my absolute favorite tracks. These movies I've been obsessed with since my youth. The Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, so good. I am not one of those that's like 5, that's too many. No, keep making more. I want more. I need more. And I think it's because of my absolute like adoration for the soundtracks. So the song that, sorry, again, long-winded.
Totally fine.
The song that I gave you was Davy Jones. And this is one of those, I have a specific playlist called like Beats Blasters, because, Beats headphones, where it's just a playlist full of songs that I know that I can listen to with my over-the-ear headphones and turn it onto full blast. And it's just going to make my like heart feel something.
I thought you were just going to say something about like it's going to vibrate your organs. But you mean emotional?
Yes.
Okay.
Also
yeah,
that.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean like both. I mean not like literally.
So side question. When you're using Spotify, do you turn off the noise roof setting so that your beats are literally like...
No.
I'll tell you.
I didn't know that was even a thing. Yeah, okay, teach me how to do that.
I have lovely Sony Bluetooth headphones, and they're very loud for people outside of my head. Please continue. I apologize.
No, that's okay. What did you think?
I thought
was
it
beautiful. Powerful enough for you?
Yeah, I thought when it started playing, and is it the Glockenspiel?
I don't know what exactly it is, but it's supposed to imitate kind of like a music box.
Yeah, it definitely, because I'm wondering, I was thinking it definitely sounded like it was, but I can't imagine Hans Zimmer being like, somebody get me a music boxist for this track. But but it was beautiful. And then I thought it was going to be a bit lackluster, and then it kicks in. And then I loved it, by the way. I was very reminded of Interstellar, naturally. And I'm wondering, is that why you chose it?
No, but I think it's the organ.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Church organ, yeah.
Yeah, it's the organ.
And that was very powerful.
Davy Jones is the like bad guy that you meet in the second Pirates of the Caribbean movie, Dead Man's Chest. So this is where
Jeffrey
you get
Rush.
No, that's Barbossa. That's the first movie.
Oh, fuck. Sorry.
Shoot, what is his name? He's incredible.
This is the creature.
Yes. So Davy Jones, his job, the task that he is given is that his job is to ferry the dead into like the afterlife. He neglects his duties. So as a punishment, he's turned into this like ocean creature. And so he has all these like tentacle beards, and you kind of see the dimensions of his character in this scene where this song is playing, because it's starting with the music box, because it's the beginning of the story of his like love with Calypso, the sea goddess. Oh, I hope that's right. But the entity her name is Calypso, and he has this like locket music box that he listens to, and this is the like melody that plays, and he's sitting there listening to it, and then he like closes it and gets angry, and then he starts playing the organ, and he's just sitting in his ship in his like office room, captain's quarters,
lodging.
I don't know. Yeah, and it goes from this like music box melody into him actually playing the organ, and he's like playing the organ with his hand and then his like crab claw, but then also all of his like tentacles are pushing the buttons, because the organ is an insanely complex instrument.
A keyboard player's dream is to have more digits.
Yes. And so he's like playing with his Tentacle beard. And then it transitions into the kind of like the depiction of the work on the ship and like what it takes to keep the ship moving. And it's all of the crew who have, the longer you're on the ship, the more you turn into like a sea creature and you part of the crew, part of the ship, you know, that's a whole thing. And it just is so good. If I can recommend, if anyone listening to this podcast says, you know, this is the song for me, I want to listen to it, please, for the love of God, listen to it with headphones and with the volume turned up as loud as you can tolerate. Because it's one of those songs that will like vibrate your bones as you're listening to it. It's so powerful. I would recommend that love this track.
I'd recommend that to our audience for every song.
Listen.
That we recommend.
Yes. Agreed.
The days Absolutely. Of tinny earphones are over, people.
Yeah.
Because I did listen to this on my Galaxy Buds, and it was just like, I need to go, because I was on my walk. I was like, I need to go back and I need to listen on my studio headphones, and I'm glad I did.
Yes.
So I completely take you out of your rhythm there.
I did. No, I need. You can edit this part out. I needed to send a text off to somebody that I'm meeting with after this because we're gonna go long. But it's because it's such a good conversation, and I could talk about these movies. I could talk about the soundtrack of all of them. Mm-hmm. The At World's End is my favorite soundtrack.
Just because I'm a bit out of the loop. It's a little shocking
that I didn't pick.
But you can do it again.
Yeah.
But when you
so
At World's End.
Yes. So
what number
Black
is
Pearl,
that?
That's 3.
Give me
so
the
Black Pearl,
give me the
Pirates of the Caribbean. Black Pearl is 1. That's where you meet
Barbossa.
Yeah, Barbossa is the bad guy. You meet Jack Sparrow, Elizabeth, and William Turner, and then
Bloom.
Yeah, the Bloom. And the Knightley, sorry, I don't know why I said it like that. Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley are Elizabeth Swann and Will Turner. The second one is, Barbossa's like gone. So it's just Jack Sparrow, Will, and Elizabeth. And like Will wants to find his father, and it's like a whole thing. It's a whole thing. At World's End is the third one. And that's kind of the stopping point-ish for the William Turner, Elizabeth Swann kind of storyline. Then you get into Stranger Tides, which is the fourth one. And that just has Jack Sparrow and then a bunch of other people. And then there's a fifth one that I cannot for the life of me remember. And that's when you find William Turner and Elizabeth Swann's son is the like main kind of character with Jack Sparrow.
Dead Men Tell No Tales with Javier Bardem.
Yes, he's the bad guy. He's such a good bad guy.
Oh, he's incredible. Yeah.
So that's 5. So there's 5, I think, more are coming out. I don't know. It's a little iffy with the whole Johnny Depp thing. I'm fairly certain they're bringing him back, though.
Bring him back. They shouldn't have kicked him off. Fantastic Beasts. And tell me this, do you see Bloom and Knightley in number 5 with their son? Or are they just gone?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay. So that's
You need to watch it to find out.
Okay.
Which I feel like is an answer in and of itself.
Yeah,
but
they totally gave it away there.
Yeah, so a little background on how Hans Zimmer got to be part of this franchise.
Please.
He had worked with Jerry Bruckheimer before, and they actually brought him in to replace Jerry Bruckheimer, is the producer of like all of them. Mm-hmm. I believe Gore Verbinski directed most of them, at least the first 3. Mm-hmm. They brought him in to replace Alan Silvestri. They were very unhappy with his score of Black Pearl. So they brought Hans Zimmer in, and then he went on to score the first 4 of the
Do you know why
films.
They were unhappy with Silvestri?
I do not know. I'm sorry. Wikipedia did not tell me.
God damn the general public.
To be clear, I did want to get my information from Hans Zimmer's website. It is currently under construction. I don't just get like all of my information from Wikipedia. I go to their websites first, but it's under construction, so I can
Me too.
So he did the first 4 Pirates of the Caribbeans. Remember, there's 5. And a fun fact, specifically for Dead Man's Chest, the second one, no electric guitar was actually played. The entire score. They had the orchestra play, and then they funneled it through a guitar amp, so it sounded.
That's very Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, isn't it though?
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you say that, because I wanted to go into his background a little bit, because he's very well known for incorporating technology and just different sound design into his music. When he was growing up, he was born in Frankfurt, Germany. As a kid, he was forced to take piano lessons and all of that, but he hated it. Same. He hated the formality and the just
classicality.
He didn't like being made to play and practice. But he loved music, and he always had music playing in his head. And so everything up until schooling has been self-taught. His mom was very musical, and they had a piano growing up, but his dad was an engineer. So he would, as a kid, play around on the piano and modify it, physically modify the piano, much to the horror of his classically musical mother. But his father was delighted. And so it's really cool knowing that background, and then seeing how he has then developed that love of modifying instruments and stuff into the music that he does now. He's been in a few bands. He went in as an adult. He played keyboard and
Video Killed the Radio Star.
Yeah, he's in Video Kill. You can see him in the music video. But he said once in an interview that he was, as a young person, was strongly influenced by Ennio Morricone, specifically the score for the movie Once Upon a Time in the West.
Mm-hmm.
I'm unfamiliar with it. I am familiar with Ennio Morricone's. He did the score for The Mission,
mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you have heard of Gabriel's Oboe is the track.
I haven't.
You should.
Okay.
You should. I could hum it, but I don't want to mess it up.
Okay.
But I played oboe.
You're an oboist.
Oboist.
Yeah.
And
Double
so I've
reed.
always, yes, I just have always loved that, because it's one of the most classic oboe sounds is that song that he created for that. So that is who influenced Hans Zimmer and made him want to become a film composer score.
Yeah, it's awesome.
He's won lots of awards. He's done so much. I mean, we haven't even we have just skimmed the surface. Is that the phrase?
Yes.
Of the movies that he's done. Even if you're not a lover of a fan, maybe
a lover
of soundtracks, you have if you have seen a movie in the last 20 years, you have seen and heard his music. He's won 2 Academy Awards for Best Original Score for The Lion King. 2 movies that he's done that he went off and didn't need to, but did.
Mm-hmm.
Lion King and Prince of Egypt. Incredible scores.
Yeah.
Incredible scores for children's movies.
It's very important.
So he won an Academy Award for Best Original Score for The Lion King and then for Dune. He's also done Gladiator, Last Samurai. We've already talked about the Pirates of the Caribbean series, Dark Knight trilogy, Interstellar,
Bonds, lots
Dunkirk.
of Bonds.
Yeah, No Time to Die, Dune. I will say there's a few works in there that I think is just so funny. He did the Simpsons movie. He did Madagascar.
Wow.
Sorry, as I choke. Gosh, I'm just so pumped. I'm so excited. And then he did Kung Fu Panda.
Very good.
So, amongst these incredible award-winning soundtracks, he also did a few DreamWorks films.
Yeah. Oh, he's so good. And I think I wanted to choose
so
a Dune song because it's just the most recent, maddest thing. that he's done. But I wanted to just do something a little bit different. But I think like another example of him doing the way there's the bagpipes in Dune. I think it's like House Atreides kind of war march when they're like running and stuff and fighting. There's like the bagpipes, but he said it himself. It was not bagpipes. I think he said it was a guitar or a violin put through with an effect to make it sound like bagpipes. So he didn't actually use actual bagpipes. But that speaks to his genius.
That's like what he does.
And even like
it's incredible.
Those drums as well, like the completely arrhythmic drums that start off the soundtrack. It's just it's the craziest thing ever. And yeah, I'm just, every time that he does a score, unless I will say, and I don't mean to be negative, but he can be a bit not familiar, but he can be a bit samey sometimes. So I love unique, pushing the boundaries Zimmer, like that. Weird. Like
Kung Fu Panda.
Exactly. Well,
and I think when you think about composers like John Williams, it's just so classic. Like he doesn't push the envelope, like he doesn't cross any artistic lines. It's just so classic.
It's just beautiful.
And yes, it's incredible. I think there's other composers out there as well that are like that. But I think what Hans Zimmer does and the like different techniques that he does are so, it sounds dramatic to say revolutionary, but it just...
No, it is. There's no one doing like...
Totally changed the game.
Yeah. I do want to do an episode on I cannot for the life of me pronounce his name, but he did Tenet and Oppenheimer with Christopher Nolan, and he's kind of taken over as, I won't say Christopher's main choice, but totally different and just totally, I would say, revolutionary, and just pushing the boundaries and just doing these mad sounds. And like TikTok is using all of this guy's stuff for like the science videos and stuff like that, because it's just so crazy. So I think revolutionary is a great word, and I would prefer a revolutionary Hans than a safe Hans, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Musically.
I agree. So Google him, take a listen to any number of his incredible works.
Body of work.
But yes, body of work. Oh, I do think it is very important to say, I forgot to make this note. He, in 2007, by the Daily Telegraph, I don't know if that is like a reputable place, but I agree with what they're saying in this specific instance. He was named on the list of top 100 living geniuses by the Daily Telegraph in 2007. In 2007. And I feel like that was like...
That's ages ago.
Not early on in his career, but...
No, but like he hadn't done any... Like I think Batman Begins was the first Nolan movie he did anyway. But yeah, hang on, Daily Telegraph. Another 15 years.
Listen, they called it early. They knew.
They did. No, they're not wrong. So it's actually kind of impressive.
Yeah. He also... Sorry, now that we're talking about it... Again,
lay it on me.
2006, he was named one of the, he was one of the inaugural winners of the Stephen Hawking Medal for Science Communication as well. So,
okay, explain that to me. What, like, how's he a science communicator? Is he talking to?
I don't know. So there's three, there's four categories.
He also won a Baker's
so there's four
Award.
Categories.
Okay, sorry.
For this specific award, the Stephen Hawking Medal or whatever. Music and arts, science writing, films and entertainment, and then lifetime achievement. So I believe he won for music and arts.
Okay, that's fair.
And maybe film and entertainment, but it makes sense in the like different instrumental techniques that he's done and innovations. That,
absolutely. No, it does make sense.
Put forth.
Go Hans.
Next time when I bring up a fact, I won't bring it up unless I know more about it.
No, that was great. I think I really want to revisit Pirates now.
Listen, do it. Oh my gosh.
I think I should.
Do it.
It's been too long.
I think we need to do an episode where I do a track from the third one. No, wait, is it the second one? Okay, in one of the movies, and now that I'm questioning myself, I can't remember if it's the second one or the third one. Now that I'm starting to talk, I'm fairly certain that it's the third one, but it doesn't matter. There's this line where there's a scene where Davy Jones, Cutler Beckett, who is a character in the third one, second and third one. And there's a third guy that I can't remember who it is, are meeting with Jack Sparrow. Oh, it's Will Turner. So Will Turner's on one side with Davy Jones and Cutler Beckett. And then Elizabeth Swann, Barbosa, and Flip. Who else are on the other? Oh, Jack Sparrow are on the other side. And they're kind of doing this like face off. And so there's this motif, this musical motif where it's kind of like, in the Western films where they're like facing off with each other. And it's like guitar and all of that. I have no idea if I'm making sense. But there's this electric guitar line, and it's actually Gore Verbinski, the director of the film, playing this line because he plays guitar, and so they have to play this.
That's cool.
I was one of those kids that when I bought a DVD, I watched all of the special features to learn more about it, and that was one of the facts that I learned in the special features.
I miss special features so much.
You watch them and let me know.
I will. I'll let you know. I watched. Have you seen Shaun of the Dead?
Yes.
We watched it there again recently. I had it on DVD as a kid, and I was watching it and just remembering the 4 times the amount of content of the length of the movie that I watched in the special features DVD and all of the extra stuff in the interviews. And I just miss that. I don't know if you can get that anymore, and you just miss out so much of that with streaming. All the interviews.
Because there's not the second disc full of special features.
Like the Harry Potter ones.
We had it had the DVD that has the normal special features, and then there's a second disc.
Yeah. You're like, more, give me more discs. I've
for you youngins out there.
I have a 5-disc Lord of the Rings extended.
Oh, of course.
And they're just so long.
Or the two tape VHSs.
Yes.
Titanic was one of those.
And you had to rewind them. There was no skipping back to the start, folks.
Nope. Nope. Wow, we're old. Anyway, before you and I both just fall over and die from our old age, what do you want to talk about next week?
That's a good question.
Either this... I can't sustain it. Do we want to do a Christmas episode next? Okay.
Okay, bye.
Hey, Kim. Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hey, Kim.
Yep.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening to the Soundtrack Exchange. If you want to listen to the tracks discussed this week or any previously released episode, check out the playlist linked in the show notes. And if you enjoy this podcast, share it with someone you know and leave a review.
Also, if you have some soundtrack themes and topics that Christelle and I should explore, feel free to email us with your suggestions. If it's chosen, we'll be sure to give you a shout out.
Until next time, we out!